beautiful thing for me about this book was that I was able to have full creative control given to me to put it together how I wanted, to lay it out how I wanted, and then most importantly to be able to interject the visually artistic side of me. There are 6 new pieces of art in this book. I was able to create a frontispiece for each of the chapters and kind of really give it a 100% stamp of me, and I was able to design the cover how I wanted and tie in elements that I thought visually aligned with the stories that are in this book. It starts with the heavy hit in the face. Chapter 1 is about the trauma that I walked through, and it's called Conversations on Internal Bleeding, which is a nod to the medical books of old. To be very vulnerable with the reader, I thought that I needed to have that up front so that you could feel the honesty of the stories and the honesty of who I am as a person sharing with you. In Love and Everything Below It, you get the lust side, the true love, the purity, the dirt. It's all in there. It's all my perception of that. And the good tie-in for that is a piece in there called Cloverleaf, which says, "On the corner where lust meets love, I dig a hole and bury my head." And that's kind of been my perspective on coming through the tragedy. Where do I fit? What kind of man am I in my story? What is love and what is lust? Is there a blur? Do you need both? Those kind of questions. You get all of that in that section. I was sitting on a dock in the freezing rain, just because being outdoors and being with nature is something that I love very much. And I was sitting there in the darkness. There was a little bit of light coming from the dock, and all I could see was just a glint off of the water in the distance, and then I would see just coming in droves, just little flashes of white coming through, piercing the black, and to me it looked like little tiny arrows piercing the darkness. And metaphorically that kind of fit how I felt about the human experience and my spiritual journey. Just that you don't always get the whole. You get little flashes and little specks here and there that kind of help it make a little bit more sense. This chapter is very, very dear to me because I feel that's what it's all about for me. I'm very much in my own head a lot. I'm very much deep in thought all the time and processing and trying to figure out and articulate the reasons, the whys. And so for me, this is a very strong chapter in my heart because I get to share that. I get to share those thoughts and those things that I've walked through. Losing Sight of the Shore. In that chapter I get to share a lot of my writings from traveling, and traveling is something that I love to do. I would do it 11 months out of the year if I could. Seeing new things, experiencing cultures is something that I really love and treasure those moments. And so to be able to share just a little bit of traveling I've been able to do so far was a joy for me. Each one of the poems in that chapter tells you where I was when I wrote it. Something unique to kind of share with you, the reader, where I've been, where I was when I wrote it, my train of thought as I was walking through a city or sitting in a park. And so that's kind of just a fun, playful section. That section also holds pieces from love, pieces from tragedy, and pieces from the human experience. So that's kind of taking from those sections and building a chapter for you to see a bit of my experiences traveling. It was important for me to include a section in this book that was prose, short story, glimpses of me from a different perspective than the poetry, a more stream of conscience feel to it that allows you a first-hand perspective. The struggles of being an artist and trying to pave your own way and trying to make it whatever that means these days, and trying to build the confidence necessary to get where you want to be. The majority of these things were not pieces that I ever intended to expose publicly, but I really felt that they fit this book and this collection perfectly as far as being completely vulnerable and honest, as the title speaks metaphorically, and letting these stories speak for you and expose your vulnerability as well. That I am kind of just putting everything out there and just walking out there naked and letting you decide, as the reader, who you think I am.